Okay, this is my Gaboon snake, my Gaboon viper. I just upgraded him to a 40 breeder tank, and he was in a 20 long, but he got overly big for it. He didn't have anywhere to move around in. So, I just set this up yesterday for him, and I've used my typical ratchet strap with the padlock design so that I can keep him locked inside of the cage for DEC purposes, because I have to have him physically locked up, so that's why I have to padlock him some way, and the ratchet strap with a hole drilled through it works very well. Now, Gaboon vipers are typically short, stocky snakes, as you can see. They got great geometric patterns on them. They blend in very well to their environment. As you can see here, he's blending in very well to the nice white and dark substrate that I have there. Gaboon vipers do have the longest fangs in the world, and they will get very huffy and puffy. So when I go to move him, because he is short and fat, he's hard to tail, so I don't try to tail him. I use two sticks to pick him up and move him into the other enclosure over here. They do have the longest fangs in the world, up to 2 inches. They're from Africa, and they are normally not overly aggressive, but they are very dangerous, so you have to be very careful. So again, as I said, I will use 2 hooks. I will hook the front of his body up here, the middle. See how he's starting to huff and puff? He's looking up at me. So I want to move him forward a little bit so I can get a nice hook underneath him. Try to hook him toward the middle at first, because he will try to climb off of the stick. Then I will hook toward the rear of him. And once I have him hooked in 2 points, I will pick him up carefully and bring him over and set him down into the temporary holding tank that I have here. Get the lid on here and lock him down, and he's in here safely. Now, the mistake I pretty much made when I did this enclosure was I wanted him to have this nice big water dish, which I had. So I decided, well, let me get this dish and I'll use it for him. Well, afterwards I got to thinking, it's an awful big dish, takes up a lot of the space that I just gave him, and he's really not going to climb into it. So I got another dish, the same style, but it's just a little smaller, and it'll fit right in that same corner, take up a lot less space. Then I can move one of his hides over this way, another hide over that way, move the substrate around a little bit, and also it'll be easier for me to get in here to change his water. Take some of this water here, which I just gave him yesterday, and we're going to probably make a mess. Dump it into his water bowl there. Not making too much of a mess. And now we're going to move him back into his enclosure. And again, trying to do the 2 sticks. Now I got to watch him. He does have these guys have a habit of being able to strike in all different positions, forward and backward. So again, I want to get toward the front of the body, and then get one toward the back of the body, and up he comes. As you can see, he is a gorgeous specimen. And we're going to get him into his enclosure here. Put him down. And these are one of my favorite snakes. He almost looks like he's velvety. Geometric the patterns, the huge head with the triangular shape. He's got little horns on the tip of his nose. He is one beautiful, beautiful snake. I would never want to get bit by one. When he bites, he usually hangs right onto his food. He usually doesn't let it go, and I can just imagine how much venom he sinks into his prey when he does this. I'm going to put the lid back on him. Okay, and hopefully here we're going to show you a false water cobra. And, well, we are going to show you our false water cobra, but hopefully he's going to do why he's called a false water cobra. And let's see here, pick this up. Notice him flattening out right away. Look at the flattening out he's got right here. Now, false water cobras, they only flatten out in a flat position like this. They don't then horizontal position. They don't flatten up like a cobra, and they don't stand up when they flatten up. They flatten up just like he's doing here. This is actually a she. Now when I go to pick her up, and I need a stick to get underneath her because she's got herself pretty flat on the ground here. But you'll watch, you'll see that she's not aggressive. She really is a little sweetheart. Very good eater. But these are actually South American water snakes. They are not cobras at all. They're rear fang, so if they were to bite you, they would have to chew on you to get their venom. I'm told that a false water cobra's venom, though, is as toxic as a timber rattlesnake, but they simply don't have the means with the rear fangs to inject it very well. So they are considered relatively harmless snakes. I still treat them as venomous. I still wear the gloves. But she is not overly aggressive. Even when I'm feeding her, she will come up very quickly, find out what there is, and then she will take it gently from me. She never tries to bite at me. She never has ever tried to bite at me at all. But she is very fast. She does like to move around a lot, as you can see here. She would love to go around the room and explore if I would let her, but we're not going to do that. She's a great eater. She will eat everything and anything you offer her. I think they're one of the great beginner venomous snakes to start with. What I have done right now is I'm just here to clean up her cage a little bit, give her some fresh water. She got some urate over here that we're going to get rid of. As I said, I love using newspaper. It's very quick and easy to do. Get the garbage can open here. Use some of our cleaner. And this is safe for the water bowl as well as for the enclosure itself. And make sure we wipe everything out really good for her. Go around the edges. And then let me grab a couple pieces of newspaper. We'll get her nice and fresh bedding here. Put that down in there like that. A lot of people don't like newspaper. They think it doesn't look very fancy, but it's very practical. Allows me to see where they go to the bathroom right away, so I can clean it up quickly. And then I take a water bottle and I just spray it, wet it down. This way it will actually stay in place when I put the snake back in, because the snake is going to be very active when I put it back in here. And if the newspaper was dry and sitting there, it would crumble very fast and get messed up. Plus, I feel that the water in there will help hydrate the snake. Put put the little hide back here. Now this hide here is actually just a little casserole dish I bought at the dollar store. Drilled a hole through the top of it, and they tend to love those. Very cheap. And that's a dog food bowl I use for water. I like these. They're very heavy. They're hard for them to spill. And then we'll put the lid partially back on. And we'll take our little girl back out of here. I don't give my snakes names normally, so she doesn't have a name. But she is very awesome. So normally she'll give you that horizontal flare when you first go in after her, which is how they got the name Cobra. False water cobras. And said they won't do it vertically like a cobra, but still pretty awesome to watch. Now this next snake we have here is a mangrove snake. Now a mangrove snake is not to be mistaken with a mangrove pit viper. A mangrove snake is a rear fang snake. Typically during the daytime they're very non-aggressive snakes. Very slow moving. They sleep most of the time. They're also called sometimes cat-eyed snakes. But right now, even though she's rare-fanged and venomous, and I'm told she has the same kind of venom as possibly a death adder, but again, a very poor system to deliver it, so again, they are considered normally not lethal. Now, when I first go into her tank, maybe I shouldn't do it this way, but I don't wear gloves. She's not going to be very aggressive. She's going to be very easy to pick up by the back of the head and move because she's more of a nighttime snake. So we're going to just pick her up without using gloves, put her in the holding container here while we go ahead and clean up her enclosure. She has a nice big cave which she utilizes most of the time. You will find her inside of it. Lately though, she's been hanging outside of her cave, which is kind of cool. I actually get to see her. And then we're going to dump her water. Get rid of the newspaper, which she's gone to the bathroom on, obviously. So clean that up. And she messes up her glass very well. I'm not sure exactly how she does it. But she has a tendency to really dirty up her glass. And what I use for the glass cleaner, I find, is actually just rubbing alcohol. It disinfects, it cleans really well. I also use it to clean the bowls and the enclosure sometimes. But right now I have this overabundance of the Zep10 SC veterinary grade cleaner. So I'll use the veterinary grade cleaner to clean out the bottom of the tanks and the water bowls, and I use the alcohol to clean up the glass because the alcohol also has a tendency to not streak, and then when it dries 100%. There's no residue left whatsoever. Then I'll clean the enclosure out here. I'm a terrible glass cleaner. I'll clean the enclosure out. Again, usually the bottom it's just dried urate, which is in little like nugget forms that you have to pick up. And we'll wipe the bowl out. What's nice also about this veterinary cleaner is that it doesn't have to dry completely before you put it back into the water into it or anything, because it will not hurt the snake if it's ingested. Now what we're trying to do here, and hopefully we'll be able to do it, is, like I said, during the daytime the mangrove snake is pretty docile, usually doesn't try to attack you, but right now we're hoping she'll wake up because her attitude changes 100% at nighttime. Nighttime, if you go to get in there, she will go after you. Once she's awake, she is not a very nice snake. She is definitely a witch. So right now we're going to see if when we put her back, maybe we can wake her up just a tad bit and get her to show you her true colors. And in order to do that, though, we are going to put the gloves on this time because we want her to get a little annoyed. I don't know if she's going to do it for us, but we're going to try. We'll hook her here. We'll get her up. Seems like she might be getting awake here a little bit, which is what we want. She's definitely not wanting to go back in her enclosure very well. I think we have woke her up somewhat. I don't know if she's going to be aggressive or not. Oh, no. Actually, right now, I think she just wants to run back into her hide. Wants us to leave her alone, so that's exactly what we're going to do. I have no problems showing people how aggressive or defensive some people like to say a snake can be, but I don't antagonize them and torture them for them to do so. I allow them to do it on their own. And right now, as you can see, this mangrove snake, it's actually a little after 3 in the afternoon, does not want to play with us, would prefer to run and hide in her nice clean enclosure, and that's exactly what we're going to allow her to do today.